To become an effective educator, we must be equipped and knowledgeable of the teaching profession. And today, let's talk about with some of the important topics in the teaching field. I am Jefferson, and I'm going to talk about the chapter 2 and 7 of the teaching profession. Let's begin! So let's begin with the chapter 2, the demands of society from the teacher as a professional and as a person. So the society is really something that look forward for teachers on how they are going to work and also how they are going to perform. So teachers are role models in the society. That's why teachers spend at least 6 hours a day, 5 days a week in 10 months of the school year with students, practically considering the 8-hour sleeping time at home. So teachers spend more time with the students than parents. That's why parents expect so much teachers, because we are the guardians of their child, no? So the code of ethics for professional teachers cites the state, the community, the teaching community, school officials, non-teaching personnel, and learners as groups of people with and for whom a teacher works. So we work for them. Okay, so a teacher works with different groups and so plays different roles. Pwede ta mahimong tutor, nurse, guidance, counselor, community leader, resource speaker, consultant rolled into one. So, no, indeed, so much is demanded for teachers. No, we are not just teachers, but we also fulfill duties. That's why we should be well equipped and strong enough in the battlefield of teaching. So, are we ready to teach? Okay, so let's find out after this studying. So let us consider the following research findings shared by Dallas Public Schools Accountability System. So learning realized by students during a year in the classroom of an effective teacher were sustained over later years and were compounded by additional years with effective teachers. So teaching fulfills the elements of a profession, and so a teacher is truly a professional. So what do you mean by a professional? So a professional is one who went through long years of preparation to earn a teacher education degree recognized by the Commission on Higher Education. No? We really need to study so that we are well equipped when we are going to teach. So after which, he or she hurdled a licensure examination for teachers, or the LET, administered by the Board of Professional Teachers with the supervision of the professional. So we have to take the licensure examination, and this topic will also be seen or be included in the licensure examination. So conversely, depressed achievement results resisted improvement even after a student was placed with an effective teacher, and the negative impact was discernible statistically for approximately 3 subsequent years. No, that is why teaching must be given importance, and teachers must be competitive enough in teaching, because the effect will be manifested by the students. So if you are not a good teacher, then your students will possibly not learn. Okay, another one. Learning gains realized by students during a year in the classroom of an effective teacher were sustained over later years and were compounded by additional years with effective teachers. And then, the negative effects of a poor performing teacher on student achievement persist through 3 years of high performing teachers. So, it's a long way process. If a teacher is poor performing, so it will affect the student in 3 years. No, imagine the adjustment. And then the good news is that if students have a high performing teacher 1 year, they will enjoy the advantage of that good teaching in future years. Okay, now conversely, if students have a low performing teacher, they simply will not outgrow the negative effects of lost learning opportunities for years to come. So there are a lot of opportunities that will be wasted. Another one, having a better teacher not only has a substantial impact on students' test scores at the end of the school year, but also increases their chances of attending college and their earnings as adults, according to Hammond 2000. So when you have a great teacher, then it is really evident that you will be a high performer when you go to the next level of your education. And now let's move forward to the teacher as a professional. So what do you mean by a professional? So a professional teacher is one who went through long years of preparation to earn a teacher education degree recognized by the Commission on Higher Education, as we have talked earlier. After which, he or she hurdled a licensure examination for teachers, or the LET, administered by the Board of Professional Teachers with the supervision of the Professional Regulation Commission, or the PRC. This is one of the requirements to become a teacher. So it is not an easy process to become a teacher, So by passing the LET, he or she obtains a license which he or she is obliged to renew every 3 years on condition that he or she can show proof of continuing professional development, or the CPD. As a professional teacher, he or she is expected to abide by the Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers, which will be also discussed after this chapter. So no, it is not an easy process to become a teacher. You have to continue the 4-year for your course, and also you have to take the licensure examination, and then you have to show proof of continuing professional development, or the CPD. So violation of the Code of Ethics can be ground for the revocation of license. So if you violate one of the Code of Ethics, then it means that you will be taken away with your license. So make sure that we teachers should follow the rules and laws of being an educator. So these ensures that a professional teacher, or he or she, practices his or her profession with technical and ethical and moral competence. So this is exactly how the Code of Ethics of Professional Teachers define the professional teacher. So the teacher is a licensed professional who possess dignity and reputation with high moral. So the teacher is a licensed professional, again, who possess dignity and reputation with high moral values, as well as technical and professional competence. He or she adheres to, observes, and practices a set of ethical, moral principles, standards, and values. That's why as we teachers are really monitored by the people in our community. So our actions really need to be ethical and moral, so that no issues, and we can be a better educator and a role model for our community and to our students. So the demands from the teacher as a professional. So there are a lot of demands in our society for us, on us teachers. So the Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers spell out the demands of the state, community, higher authorities, and school officials and parents from teachers. There are a number of models or frameworks of effective teaching. In the country, we have the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, or the PPST. Take note that. So PPST means, again, Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers. That's Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, PPST. So what is that? So these PPST are standards of good teaching, which will also be discussed in the succeeding lessons. In addition, we shall present 4 evaluation models of effective teaching. So the first one is, we have here Robert Marzano's Casual Teacher Evaluation Model of 4 domains. So what are those? So the first one is the classroom strategies and behaviors. So it involves the events enacted on the spot, such as engaging students, recognizing adherence to rules and procedures, establishing and maintaining effective relationships with students, and communicating with high expectations for all students. So as a teacher, we should have to manage that. And then it also includes helping students generate and test involve routine events such as communicating learning goals and feedback, and establishing rules and procedures just like formative assessment, your assessment for and assessment of. Then involving addressing content by helping students, like you must ask them if they have questions or they don't understand. So be open to your students and for them to be seen as you as a trustworthy teacher. And then this also includes interact with new knowledge, practice and deepen new knowledge. That's why teachers are also researchers, because we research for another new kind of learnings and to deepen our knowledge. And then in the second one, we have the planning and preparing. From the word itself, planning and preparing for lessons, like we make lesson plan for a directive teaching and to have a guide. So when we go to a battlefield, we must be equipped with a lot. So we have to plan and we have to prepare ourselves, because there are a lot of unexpected events that will come when we teach. And then also for use of technology like our materials, we must know how to use it. That's why we also teachers should learn how to use PowerPoint, how to use a projector, how to connect that HDMI cord into your laptop. So we teachers need to have that knowledge. And then for needs of students receiving special education, that's why we have to ask our students for their needs. And also we should see our students what are the needed things they have or the attention that they need, because there are some students who are gifted and some needs our supervision. And then for needs of students who lack support for schooling, even though it is not really our responsibility to support our students for schooling, we should also have our empathy and sympathy. Okay, now the third one is the reflection on teaching. So what is this? It is the evaluating personal performance, such as identifying areas of pedagogical strengths and weaknesses. So we have to evaluate ourselves on our assessment if that assessment is suitable and effective in our teaching. Also in developing, implementing, and monitoring a professional growth plan. So we have to develop that. And then we have the fourth one, which is the collegiality and professionalism. It is the promoting positive interactions with colleagues, students, and parents, seeking mentorship for areas of need or interest. In the classroom, we have to collaborate with the students. We have to collaborate with their parents, so that we can give also parents a task on teaching their students when they are at their home. And also mentoring other teachers and sharing ideas and strategies. That's why teachers will be brainstorming with everyone so that they can get new ideas and strategies in teaching. Just like the school that I have been having my field study, they really do their brainstorming or meetings to support each teacher and to give each teacher an idea of new strategies, and that's very helpful in teaching. And then adhering to school rules and procedures, like there are a certain school that have these rules, so we have to follow those. And then participating in school initiatives, like we have to engage ourselves in the school and we have to be active as well. Okay, now we have, after the first one, we have the Charlotte Danielson framework of teaching. So we have the planning and preparation, the classroom environment, instruction, and the professional responsibilities. So reflecting on teaching, maintaining accurate records, And then communicating with families, participating in the professional community, growing professionally, showing professionalism. So that would be all for Charlotte Danielson framework for teaching. Again, we have the planning and preparation. So we have to plan for what are we going to do. And then the classroom environment. Is it conducive to learning, or is it the classroom environment make students hard time to learn because the facilities, the noise is not conducive to learning, or like the lights is not present, so students will be having a hard time, and also they will be getting more attention outside than learning inside the classroom. So that is the classroom environment. And then also the instruction. As teachers, we have to give ample time in instruction, and we have to plan for our instruction so that it will be effective. Also, the professional responsibilities. As a teacher, we have a lot of responsibilities in school. We have to do a lot of things in school, even though it is out of our our responsibility. We still have to do that. And then reflecting on teaching, maintaining. Okay, that's all. So the third one is James Strong's Teacher Effectiveness Performance Evaluation System, or the TPES system. Again, TPES system. James Strong's TPES means Teacher Effectiveness Performance Evaluation System. TPES. Okay, we have 7 performance standards, like the professional knowledge, the code of ethics, and the details that is in the teaching profession. Number 2, the instructional planning, the knowledge of creating a lesson plan. So we teachers really have to know how to write an objectives down to our assessments. So we teachers need to include the higher order thinking skills when we make our lesson plans. So that's it. Next is the instructional delivery, the method and strategies in teaching. So what are our methods? Is it like we have to integrate peer tutoring, or we have to like dance, or in our motivation we read stories? That's it. So we have to think of the method and strategies that students can learn and can support our teaching. And then the assessment of for learning, the evaluation of teachers. Now we have to be critical thinkers in questioning and assessing the learners. So in our, again, for our when we say assessment of, that is when we say assessment of, that example of that is our summative test. So it will be done after. And then when we say assessment for learning, for means formative. So we have to note that. So when we say formative assessment, it is done orally, like we question during our lecture. So that's why we have to be critical thinkers in questioning our learners, because it will also develop their problem solving, their analytical skills, and so on. So the fifth one, the learning environment, if it is conducive to learning and if it is well managed. So we have to ask ourselves, is the learning environment of my student is conducive to learning? How am I going to improve those? So like, should I buy these, or should I put this in my room, or like these materials are helpful, like that? We have to question ourselves, and we have to evaluate if our students is really learning inside the school. And then professionalism. So it maintains a commitment to professional ethics, communicates effectively, and takes responsibility for and participates in professional growth that results in enhanced learning. Also, the seventh one, the student progress. The work of the teacher results in acceptable measure and appropriate student academic progress. Okay. Now, we have also here the teacher evaluation standards, the Mackerel model, or when we say Mackerel, the Mid-Continent Research for Education and Learning. Again, Mackerel, the Mid-Continent Research for Education and Learning. So what are those? So we have number 1, the teacher demonstrate leadership. So we have to be role models. We have to lead the classroom. So we have to demonstrate leadership in the school, not just in classroom, but also in school. Like we lead other teachers. If you have the authority, or if you have the ability to lead in a good way. Also, lead a teaching profession advocate for schools and students. Then demonstrate high ethical standards. So leaders should have to demonstrate high ethical standards. Okay, number 2, teachers know the content they teach. No, they must be knowledgeable on what they teach, because you cannot teach what you don't have. So imagine if you're teaching something in front and then you're not knowledgeable about it. Would your students learn? Would your learners attain the objectives? No, because you're not knowledgeable in the first place. And then teachers facilitate learning for their students. They assess and make sure learners learn. You cannot let your students just do their task without feedback or without monitoring. You cannot just give them assessment in the table and then you are not monitoring your students. You have to be there. You have to be an active an active monitor of your students, so that your students will do active learning than being passive inside the school. And then the 4th one, teachers reflect on their practices. They should have reflection. Since we teach, there is an unending learning. So we learn from our students. So the next one, are you familiar with the word PPST? So PPST stands for, kindly read. Okay, the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers. What does it mean, or what is it? So the PPST, the Revised National Competency-Based Teacher Standards, or the NCBTS, give the teacher professional competencies in 7 domains, 37 strands, and 148 performance indicators for 4 career stages. Again, there are 7 domains, 37 strands, and 148 indicators for 4 career stages. This is according to the PPST. Quality teachers in the Philippines needs to possess the following characteristics. So we have to possess these characteristics, like we recognize the importance of mastery of content knowledge and its interconnectedness within and across curriculum areas, coupled with a sound and critical understanding of the application of theories and principles of teaching and learning. We should also provide learning environments that are safe, secure, fair, and supportive in order to promote learner responsibility and achievement. Establish learning environments that are responsive to learner diversity. They respect learners' diverse characteristics and experiences as inputs to the planning and design of learning opportunities. They include the celebration of diversity in the classroom. So in our classroom, there are a lot of students came from other race or with a different worldview. So we have to celebrate the diversity of learners in the classroom. And then we also have to interact with the national and local curriculum requirement. For the comparison of the 4 model of teacher effectiveness, you may refer to the text box in our slide. Alright, you can also take a screenshot or a picture of that slide. Okay. All right, now let's move forward to the professionalism, the hallmark of a professional. So the Code of Ethics for Public School Teachers adopted in Section 7 of Republic Act 4670 explains professional conduct. Again, it's Section 7 of Republic Act 4670. Okay, the Code of Ethics for Public School Teachers. So it behooves every teacher to assume and maintain professional attitude to his work and in dealing with the associates in the profession. It should be his self-imposed duty to constantly improve himself professionally. So criticism, when necessary, should clearly reflect friendly. Now we also have here Walker Robert J. 12 Characteristic of an Effective Teacher, a longitudinal, qualitative, quasi-research study of enrich and pre-service teachers. So we have one, the prepared. So are you a prepared teacher? So a prepared teacher come to class each day, read. All right, and now let's move forward to Robert J.'s 12 characteristic of an effective teacher, which is a longitudinal, qualitative, quasi-research study of in-service and pre-service teachers. So a teacher should be prepared. So one of its characteristic of an effective teacher is to be prepared. Are you a prepared teacher? A prepared teacher come to class each day ready to teach. So we go to school and we are equipped with the knowledge and also the materials. We have already created it. We have our lesson plans, our assessments. We are ready for everything for us to teach effectively. Also, a teacher should be positive. Not positive with COVID, but positive with we have to be optimistic. We have an optimistic attitude about teaching and about students. So we really have to look forward for the beauty in every situation, and we have to think for a better solution for problems and challenges will really come to us teachers, because there are unexpected things that we can meet during our teaching journey. And then teachers hold high expectations, set no limits on students, and believe everyone can be successful. So teachers should not settle for less and should not belittle your students, even though the student is not a performer, because we have different kind of abilities and we can excel in a lot of things. A teacher should also be creative, which we are resourceful and inventive in how they teach their classes. Like we use materials, we use our manipulatives, we have different kinds of strategies that will really engage learners and will enhance their literacies. And then fair handle students and grading fairly. So there is no favoritism inside the classroom. We should think that even though this student is my cousin, then I won't be giving that student an activity. So it's not like that. So we have to put fairness inside the classroom, no favoritisms. And then display a personal touch or approachable, so that your students can be they are comfortable when you are around your class. Because if a teacher is not approachable, then a learning environment would not be happy, or it would not be colorful. And then number 7, cultivate a sense of belonging. Have a way to make students feel welcome and comfortable in their classroom. So you as a teacher should really engage with your students with limitations, and you have to be with them, and you make sure that your students can approach you like that. And then a teacher should also compassionate, which are concerned about students' personal problems and can relate to them and their problems. We have to put empathy to and sympathy to our students. Like, even though some students will really approach you and tell them your problems, so you as a teacher should confront them and comfort them and give them advices. So we teachers are also counselors. Okay, number 9, have a sense of humor. Make learning fun and do not take everything seriously. A humor that has limitations. So we teachers should also think for our jokes. And we have to put humor in a sense that we put limitations on it. Like, we think of how your students will respond to your jokes. And then respect students. Do not deliberately embarrass students. So teachers who give the highest respect gets the highest respect. So respect begets respect. Okay? And then forgiving. Do not hold grudges. So do not make your assessment as a punishment for your student. You have to, you don't have to hold grudges with your students, because you have to put a barrier with your personal life and your teaching life. And then admit mistakes. Quick to admit being wrong, especially when you created an assessment and you're wrong for it. Then you have to fact check, and if you're wrong, then admit that you are wrong. Okay. Now again, let's talk about professionalism. So when we say professionalism, it is something demanded of teachers, both professionals and as a person. Professionalism is succinctly described in Article 6 of the Code of Ethics for professional teachers, to wit, Section 1. A teacher shall live with dignity at all times. Now, how to live with dignity? So professional dignity validates who teachers are and who they strive to be. Teachers want the school community to acknowledge them as educated professionals, and especially as individuals. Teachers' professional dignity implies that the school community dutifully knows the teachers both professionally and personally. So according to Section 2, a teacher shall place premium upon self-respect and self-discipline as the principle of personal behavior in all relationships with others and in all situations. To be respected is to respect no matter what others may do. We should live having it. Now, self-discipline is when we have limitations in ourselves. We can live a better life, and as teachers, we should discipline ourselves, having etiquettes, and we should ask ourselves if our actions are good or unacceptable. We must evaluate what we should do prior from doing it, because there are a lot of eyes watching from us. There are a lot of people who are looking forward for teachers. And then in the Section 3, a teacher shall maintain at all times a dignified personality, which could serve as model worthy of emulation by learners, peers, and others. In a society where there are a lot of marites, or there are eyes watching us, we should possess and present a holistic model of ourselves. That's why it's also good to limit having Facebook friends with our students. We must be mindful of our actions, because what children see is what they follow. And then in the Section 4, a teacher shall always recognize the Almighty God, or being as guide of his own destiny and of the destinies of men and nations. Morally and spiritually, teachers must embody a self that thinks for the common good, where he or she believes that there is our Almighty Father that guide us together in our teaching journey. And then let's move forward to the next slide. So, the Code of Ethics for Public School Teachers, adopted in Section 7 of Republic Act 4670, cites integrity as one essential trait of a professional teacher. We say integrity since the teacher's work is not confined merely to the development of certain fundamental skills and abilities encompassed by the teaching of the 3 R's, but also includes the development of desirable habits and attitude that go into the formation of character. His manner of living should provide a worthy example for his pupils and students to emulate, for his fellow teachers to be proud of, and for the community to feel as being enriched by it. No, and that's the end of our chapter 2. Let's move forward to the chapter 7. So what is the chapter 7 all about? It is all about continuing professional development, the lifeblood of the teaching profession. So let's begin. In Section 7 of Republic Act 4670, again, Section 7 of Republic Act 4670 states, responsibility is something expected of professional teacher. The work of the teacher in the development and guidance of the young is a tremendous responsibility for which he is accountable to God, to his country, and to prosperity. It is a trust of which every teacher should strive to be worthy. This is according to the philosophical basis of the CPD. So, growth is an evidence of life. This implies that anything that is alive grows, or anything that grows is alive. So a teacher who is alive grows physically, psychologically, mentally, and socially, emotionally, and spiritually. No, so if a teacher doesn't grow, it means he or she is not alive. So the historical and the legal basis of continuing professional development in the Philippines. So even before the enactment of this CPD Act of 2016, CPD was already alluded in the 1987 Philippine Constitution, no less than the Fundamentals Law of the Land, Section 5, Paragraph 4 states, the state shall enhance the right of teachers to professional advancement. Other laws also cited continuing professional development as follows. So number 1, Batasang Pambansa 232, the Education Act of 1982, the Chapter 3, Obligations and Duties, Section 16, 4 states as one of teachers' obligation to assume the responsibility to maintain and sustain his professional growth and advancement. Number 2, Republic Act 9155, again 9155, an act instituting a framework of governance for basic education, establishing authority and accountability, renaming the Department of Education, Culture and Sports as the Department of Education, and for other purposes was enacted on August 11, 2001. In the enumeration of duties and functions of the Secretary of Education, Section 7A to it, Republic Act 7836, again, Republic Act 7836, the Teachers Professionalization Act also provided for mandatory continuing professional education, or the CPE, now referred to as continuing professional. The same Republic Act 7836 states, so again, the 7836 states, unjustified a willful failure to attend seminars, workshops, conferences, and the like, or the continuing educational program prescribed by the board and the commission. Section 3, revocation of the certificate of registration, suspension from the practice of the teaching profession, and cancellation of temporary or special permits. So that's why teachers should still have to continue studying, or to continue our learning and education. So we have to attend seminars and meetings. Okay, number 4, the Board of Professional Teachers, or the BPT, again BPT, the Board for Professional Teachers, also passed Resolution number 435, Section 177, to adopt the Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers pursuant to the provisions of Article 2 of Republic Act 7836, otherwise known as the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Professionalization Act of 1994. This code of ethics states, Executive Order number 266, institutionalization of the continuing professional education, or the CPE, programs of the various professional regulatory boards, PRBs, under the supervision of the Professional Regulation Commission, or the PRC. This was signed and issued by the office of then President Fidel V. Ramos on July 25, 1995. To wit, so we have here the number of CPD units required. According to Article 3, Section 10 of the CPD Act states that the CPD is made as a mandatory requirement in the renewal of the Professional Identification Card, or the PICs, of all registered and licensed professionals. So, but first, what is the meaning of CPD? It is the continuing professional development. Okay. Now, how many credit units are required for the renewal of the PICs? So, for the professional teachers group, based on Professional Regulatory Board for Professional Teachers Resolution number 11, series of 2017, so these are the following credit units that are required. So, in December 2017, 15 credit units. And in January to December 2018, there are 30 credit units, and in January 2019 onwards, there is a 45 credit units. So my technique for this, for me to remember, is to add 15 every year that is being mentioned. Like 15 credit units, and then added by 15 is 30 credit units for January, December, and 2018. And when we add 15, that would become 45 credit units for January 2019 and onwards. Okay. Ways by which professional teachers can earn credit units. So as shown in the figure below, CPD credit units can be named in 4 ways. So as shown in the figure, so we have here, 1, the professional track. This includes trainings provided by CPD providers accredited by PRC. You can earn credit units as a participant to a training approved by the CPD Council. You earn more credit units if you serve as a resource speaker, trainer, or demonstration teacher. You can also earn credit units as a panelist, reactor, facility moderator. You can much more you are assigned by the CPD Council to monitor the conduct of an approved CPD program. So this includes training offered by various accredited CPD providers that are approved by the CPD Council prior to offer. So, for example, I have prepared here an example of how many credit units that you will get. So, when you are a panelist or a reactor in a program, so there are 2 credit units per hour. And then the supporting documents that you need to present is the certification from organization with date and number of resource speaker or in the program. And the next one is the program. So the number of credit units that you'll get every hour is 3. And then the supporting documents is the photocopy of Certificate of Appreciation with date and number of hours included. So the second one is the academic track. This refers to the completion of a master's degree, completion of a candidacy to the doctorate program, completion of the doctorate program, completion of a postdoctoral diploma, and being a recipient of a professional chair grant and or fellowship grant. Take note that only completion of the master's degree is given full credit units of 45. Earning MA units is not given any credit unit, but completion of candidacy for the doctorate degree already entitles 1 to 45 credit units. So the master's and doctorate degrees must have been earned 5 years before renewal of professional license. So master's degree or equivalent credit units, so full credit units for compliance period upon completion of the degree, so full credit units. Then supporting documents is a university diploma or certification or transcript of records. So that would be an authenticated copy by the professional chair. And then the credit units that you'll get when you are a professional chair is 15 credit units per year. Supporting documents would be the appointment paper, certification of grant of appointment paper. And then the third one is the self-directed track. So this includes trainings offered by non-accredited CPD providers. It refers to learning activities such as online training, local international seminars, non-degree courses, institution, company, sponsored training programs, and the like, which did not undergo CPD, or you can find these on MOOCs. Accreditation but may be applied for and awarded CPD units by the respected CPD councils. In addition, self-directed track includes serving as accreditor. Example is the ISO, ISA, PACUCUA, PAASU, and then AACUP, etc. It also includes study tours and social civic activities such using the profession. Number 4 is the productive scholarship. This means that a professional teacher has developed problem or training module, curriculum guide, or any other resource material, or the professional teacher has written an article in a professional magazine or a technical research paper, and even better if the technical paper is published in a referred peer-reviewed professional journal. Best if the professional teacher writes a book or a monograph or comes up with an invention or creative work. So the latter entitles him or her to 45 credit units. And then even professional and or lifetime achievement awards from the division level to regional, national, and international level make the professional teacher earn credit units. So there are a lot of ways to earn credit units. Now, continuing professional development plan, or the CPD. So it is a proof that a professional teacher has made CPD his or her way of life in his or her formulation of a CPD plan, which he or she religiously follows, whether monitored or not monitored by his or her superiors, because he or she monitors himself or herself. Now, the developing a personal CPD plan helps teachers, leaders develop purposefully. It is not enough to have a good intention to do CPD. So it is best that good intentions should be made concrete, a simple and doable plan. Every professional who has sincere intent to grow professionally must have an annual personal CPD plan. So professional teachers formulating their respective annual CPD plans and faithfully observing them lead to the building of a CPD culture among professional teachers. So with that CPD culture, the negative attitude towards mandatory CPD hopefully will fade away. So we have to reach a point where professional teachers will oblige themselves to go through CPD, not because it is mandatory, but because this is something they owe to themselves as professionals and to they serve. So this is professionalism. So I hope that, so according to the text, that they hope that so it will not be just done because it is mandatory. So we teachers really have to learn a lot more so that we could be an equipped and more knowledgeable teacher, and for me in the future. Okay, then let's move forward to the joining professional learning communities of practice. So CPD made possible and alive through professional learning communities, or the PLCs. These PLCs are powerful collaborations in which teachers work together to analyze and improve their classroom practice in a systematic process. So learning from the CPD practices of high-performing countries. So let's learn what are their CPDs. So these rich countries and high-performing, namely the Singapore, Finland, Japan, and Netherlands. So these are also the countries that I dream to be in with. So we have here the CPD in Singapore. Singapore is the first country in the world to adopt the PLC framework nationwide. In 2010, the Ministry of Education, or the MOE, mandated all schools to be a learning organization. Every teacher is entitled to 100 hours per year of optional training, which everyone makes use of. Schools are encouraged to provide at least 1 hour of curricular time per week for teachers to actively engage in school-based professional development, or the PD initiatives. So for PD, Singapore has 1, teacher-researcher networks, 2, the lesson study and other forms of learning circles. So they also conduct action research. So the teacher-researcher network follows these steps in their action research. So the first one is the identification and definition of a problem. So what are the problems in their school? And then planning for improvement. So what are their improvements to be done with that problem? And then the implementation of teaching learning activities. This is the where they do the activities and they implement what they have planned. And then the observation of results, or data collection. So they will observe that if it's effective or not. And then reflection of on the outcomes, whether they make another one or they will redo it. Okay. Now they also have lesson study. So how is this done? So this consists of 4 cyclical phases, or the TAN, according to TAN 2014. So we have the first one, study phase. Teachers analyze the curriculum to be taught and formulate long-term teaching and learning goals. So they are going to think of better ways of teaching. They research and make sure it is effective in teaching. The second one is the planning phase. So teachers select lessons for research, predict student thinking and difficulties, and plan the implementation of specific lessons for data collection, just like doing the lesson plan, or they plan for the betterment of a lesson with effective teaching strategies. Okay, so the third one is the analysis phase. So teachers observe and discuss the classroom evidence collected. Examples is the videos, student written work. And then the fourth one is the reflection phase. So teachers discuss student learning and identify new areas for further inquiry. So this is a time that a teacher will determine whether they should process or reteach. It also shows whether the plan is successful or not. Okay, so let's move to the CPD in Finland. So teachers in Finland meet 1 afternoon each week to jointly plan and develop curriculum. So they meet 1 afternoon each week. So it is very important for them to have meetings. So they encourage to work together to share materials. Okay, then now the CPD in Japan. So lesson study approach to professional development. So this is their CPD. So the lesson study approach to professional development. So how is it done? So every teacher periodically prepares a best possible lesson that demonstrates strategies to achieve a specific goal. Example, students becoming active problem solvers, or students learning from each other in collaboration with other colleagues. A group of teachers observe while the lesson is taught and usually record the lesson in a number of ways, including videotapes, audio tapes, or anything that is that it can be recorded. So a narrative and or checklist observation that focus on areas of interest to the instructing teacher. Example, how many students volunteered their own ideas? Afterwards, the group of teachers and sometimes outside educators discuss the lesson's strengths and weaknesses. They ask questions and make suggestions to improve the lesson. In some cases, the revised lesson is given by another teacher only a few days after or later and observed and discussed again. So that is the CPD in Japan. Now let's move on to the last, is the CPD in New Zealand. So in New Zealand, the Ministry of Education gives funds for 20% release time for new teachers and 10% release time for second-year teachers. Ministry of Education to observe the teachers attend professional development activities, courses, and work on curriculums and all. So mentor teachers deliberately spend time to observe and confer with beginning teachers. So they have the characteristics of effective CPD, or the continuing professional development. So for one is the continuous. So the process is an ending, and after a process, there is another process. So the collaborative, it is collaborative, which brainstorming happen and everyone is working for a common goal, or teachers are having meetings. And then focus on a specific teacher it is job embedded, and given the fifth one is given enough time where everyone can really create the best ideas and output. And number 6 is funded. Wow, sana all. They are given with enough funds to support the process of the continuing professional development. Alright, I guess that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. Again, I am Jefferson Menyoza, your reporter.